Welcome to the Screen the Screener College Basketball Podcast with your hosts, Mike Randle and Gus Kearns.
Welcome back to the Screen the Screener College Basketball Podcast, where we continue on our mission as we preview each and every one of the 357 Division I basketball teams. Today we go to the MAC to get some action with the Kent State Golden Flashes. And we bring in Allen Moff from the Record Courier Sports Department to give us a preview to talk about last year's Kent State team and preview the upcoming year as well. Follow him on Twitter at Allen Moff, MOFF_RC. Allen, thanks so much for a few minutes. How you doing today?
Doing great. How about you?
Hanging in there. We're excited that college basketball is right around the corner. And, last year there was so much uncertainty with COVID. It's great to be sort of moving ahead, if you will, as we head into the season. And if you talk about the Mid-American Conference, you're going to talk about Kent State. Rob Senderoff has been there for many years, has enjoyed a lot of success. I know there's a new athletic director that came in, but it looks like he's going to be leading the charge for quite some time in Kent State. Coming off a 15-8 season last year, 12-6 in the MAC. Talk about the last year's season as a whole and the challenges that they faced going into it with COVID as they battled, all teams battled, through last season.
Yeah, COVID definitely interrupted things several times at Kent State. Overall, I think all things considered with COVID and, with who they had coming back, they lost quite a bit heading into last year. I think they really overachieved, honestly, through the entire season. Just didn't end well. Their best player, Danny Pippen, ends the season on a suspension. They lost to Ohio in the first round of the MAC tournament. Very lopsided game. The way Ohio was playing at that point, I don't know if anybody could have beat them in the MAC, but as it was, a great season overall, but just a really a tough way to end it.
Yeah, Ohio was tough. We're from New Jersey. MAC basketball is very exciting, very popular. A lot of competition there. Buffalo, of course, has been good for many years when Nate Oates was there. Toledo, it really is a conference that is up and coming. And the schools that come out of the MAC are very dangerous in the NCAA tournament, really are. Talk about coming into this year, some of the players that are gone. You talked about Pippen, Michael Nuga, of course. Talk about some of the players that have departed for Kent State that will not be with them this year.
That's basically it. Obviously that's two big losses. Obviously Nuga, was rolling along, then had an injury. And they ended up going to UNLV. Pippen, is trying to get in the pro ranks at this point. Pippen was a first team all MAC guy last year who, did a little bit of everything, as far as scoring, rebounding and was kind of their, basically the backbone of their team. So, obviously everybody loses things. Kent State is obviously they seem like they turn this roster over dramatically every year. Coach Senderoff has, like you said, been there for a long time. Watched a ton of really good players come in and out. The way things are, the landscape of college basketball these days, you kind of got to rebuild basically every year. And that's something that he's really used to doing. And he's done it again. I'll tell you what, they've got some very interesting, transfers coming in. Some Power 5 transfers. Andrew Garcia, who played a pretty big role at Georgia last year. Coming, he's a 6'6" guard, which is obviously huge size for any conference. But the MAC being that's a really big guard for the MAC. They got there's a couple other guys. Sincere Carey is the one that would really jump out.
That's a big one. Yep.
I'm sure you guys know all about him. And he just kind of fell in their lap, honestly. His girlfriend is the starting point guard on the Kent State women's basketball team.
Oh, I didn't know that. I did not know that. Very good. Okay.
Yep. He's looking for somewhere to go, and it just kind of fell right there. So huge addition there. I mean, he's a big-time player who's already proven himself without a question to be able to play at their level. And they've got a Vanderbilt transfer forward, a 6'9" kid named Akeem, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this right. Odusipe, I believe is how you pronounce his name. More of a project type kid, but obviously good enough to play at Vanderbilt and be recruited by Vanderbilt. So, a lot of excitement there as far as adding a body and an athletic body like that. And then they got a shooter from Rhode Island named DJ Johnson, who, again, shoots a very high 3-point percentage, and, that everybody uses shooters these days, as you well know. Coming back as well, they've got, a number of guys coming back. Trevell Beck was one of those guys that could have decided to stay or go, and he decided to come back. He had a really good year last year, kind of a breakout year after having some injury issues of his own early in the season. Ended up scoring, around 11, 12 a game. 5 or 6 rebounds. So very excited about having him coming back. Justyn Hamilton, 6'11", forward type center who transferred from Temple, played last year. He's a little up and down last year, but certainly proved that he can play at this level and be a very, very important part of the team, especially now that Pippen's gone. And then there's a guard named Malique Jacobs who really proved that he could play, both ends of the court, be a very valuable player, pretty much guarded the other team's top guard every night. 6'4", strong kid who can also play, he also put the ball in the basket too. So, Giovanni San Diego was their starting point guard last year. He's coming back, had a pretty good year, kind of established himself as a MAC player who can do some things, good shooter. So just, a lot of reason to, I think Coach Senderoff has done it again, man. They should be a factor in the MAC once again, even though they lost some guys, and turning it over and be very competitive once again this year.
Yeah, and Kent State, I'm curious what you know here, Allen, about the non-conference. I think most of them are pretty set right now. We're getting, into practice, and the beginning of the season's coming up soon. But Kent State is a very dangerous team come the middle of the year and tournament time. And if I look back at their past non-conferences, there aren't really any major big sort of Power 5 games that jump out. They've had a couple, against Ohio State a couple years ago. What does their non-conference look like this year? Is there a method here with Coach Senderoff? Is he trying to structure this, given that you lost Pippen and Nuga to a certain level, or do they have some more bigger time games against larger competition?
Well, they open at Xavier, so
yep, okay.
That's going to be a tough one.
Yeah.
You get those kind of games when you can get them, and it just so happened to be the opener on a Friday night in November. So they'll get a test there.
Allen, that's going to be a tough game for Xavier also. That is not an easy game to schedule for your opener here. That's a good game. Absolutely.
For November 12th, that's good college basketball, no question. And then the other big one, they're going to West Virginia on December 12th. Ironically enough, that's where Senderoff earned his first win when he took over the program. I believe it was 11 years ago now. So, they always try to – they'll get at least one of those types of games every year. Obviously, they're almost always on the road because nobody can get anybody to come to the MAC and play. But, and I tell you what, they've actually fared really well. They've won a lot of those games. I know they beat Texas recently. They beat Oregon State twice out of 3 years. So, they've had some success with teams like that. And, like you say, yeah, they're typically, whoever comes out of the MAC is dangerous, just like you said, and they have as good a shot as anybody. I would say Buffalo is kind of your favorite coming in, but when you go next tier, Kent State should be right there and be very competitive.
That's a great call. Back in 2018, 2019, they started off Alcorn State, Savannah State, but they beat Vanderbilt away. They were lost to Louisville in a close game on the road. They beat Oregon State away as well. I like the way they structure it because they get that experience. They have some games they can win before they get into the MAC schedule. What would you say this year, Allen, is sort of the focus for the team for Coach Senderoff? Are they looking? Is it going to be we want to be back in the NCAA tournament? What do you think most fans would see would be a successful season here for the Golden Flashes?
Oh yeah, that's. I mean, it's not a pass-fail type thing. You can have success and not make the tournament, because there's so many teams in the MAC that are really good that don't make the tournament because it's a one bid league. But the goal every year is to win the tournament without a question. He's kept this thing going. They haven't had a sub 500 season since the 90s. They've done a very good job of patching things together and being competitive every year and giving themselves a chance. And I don't see any reason to believe that anything's gonna be different this year. They've definitely added some guys, plugged some holes, and if things come together, you stay healthy. Obviously, there's variables, but they should have as good a shot as anybody coming down the stretch.
And certainly, I would think the focus would be on rebounding. Kent State always one of the top offensive rebounding schools in the country. Last year, they were 25th overall in the country, and then within the Mid-American Conference, they were second. So I would think that with some of the transfers coming in, that would still be the mainstay, sort of the backbone here, besides their defense as well.
Yeah, and you look at the size of the guards they're adding. Those are rebounding type guards. So, and you throw that in there with, Justyn Hamilton's a good rebounder, 6'11" kid. They should have a lot of size. I mean, and for a MAC team, typically Buffalo's that one team in the MAC that's huge. And I tell you what, I don't know if Kent State can quite match their size this year, but they're going to give it a run. They have a pretty big lineup in there.
Yeah, and they always do battle. Listen, Allen, one more question, then we'll get you out of here. This has been fantastic. Give me the prediction. Having followed Kent State as you had coming in this year, people are going to say they lost a lot, but of course, Coach Senderoff gets people together, and one of the biggest challenges coaches have this year is blending in the transfers, blending in the freshmen that are coming in, the new players as well. Give us your thoughts on how you think the Golden Flashes will end up once we turn the calendar here to March and we're headed into tournament time.
Well, I mean, there's just no reason for me to believe that, this is going to be any different. Like I said, Coach Senderoff tends to make this happen. And it just all comes down to who's hot at the end and this, that, and the other, and who's healthy. But I don't see any reason why this team can't win 20 games and be right there at the end. And, it's whoever gets hot. But in my opinion, again, Buffalo is a team to beat. But outside of Buffalo, anybody else can emerge, and Kent State's got as good a shot as any.
There are some great games, folks. Nothing we like more here. We're two college basketball hoops junkies than a good Kent State, Buffalo, Kent State, Toledo game here. MAC action. It's fantastic. No doubt about it. And we'll be watching them this year, Allen, for sure. Folks, Allen Moff gave us a few minutes here on Kent State from the Record Courier Sports Department. Does a wonderful job for Kent State. They're going to be an issue. The Golden Flashes right off the bat with that game against Xavier. Allen, we'll be watching. Make sure you follow him on Twitter at AllenMoff_RC. Thanks, man, for a few minutes. We're excited that college basketball is back. Fans are in the stands, and we appreciate you giving us a rundown here as we get ready for the upcoming season for Kent State.
Sure thing. Thank you.